Hey, this video is gonna be a little bit different than the rest of mine. This is basically a check-in. I kind of made the decision that I was gonna make sort of what this channel is, why I started streaming, and what I want to do in the future. I made a short about what I wanted to do in the future a while ago, and it was about like Spelunky and stuff. This is more of like, this is more of me and the long term. It's not necessarily about streaming. So, right now, I've been going through some stuff. I haven't really, I've told my family about this, but the reason why I started streaming was because I had a relationship that kind of went south. I know that this is kind of personal for me to say, um, but that's I thought I'd make it out in the open. Um, a little while after, I started therapy and I started to do streaming. First stream I had was technically a what was it? It was a game that I really like. Ultra Kill. Yeah. I don't have any YouTube videos on it. Because it was like I sucked. However, I didn't know how to play like beat up enemies. I didn't know any of the weapon combos. Sorry for the bed back there. That is really bothering me. I thought I pulled it down further, but it gets caught on this pole. Nah, whatever. But I sucked at it. That's where I started streaming. Um, and I would mainly focus on not necessarily getting better, but throwing myself at it until I got good. Um, and right now, I'm still going through some stuff. Having the person that you were going to be engaged to and try to lead you to your death via your best friend is not is it's rough. I was not perfect in the relationship. No one is. But I did my best to communicate. Like I would like say, "Hey, is everything all right?" That sort of deal, but it doesn't matter. Like I constantly check in with her, but in the end, it doesn't matter what I did. The only thing that I could do was sit there and watch because I knew that I didn't do anything wrong. However, it felt like I did something wrong, and I was stuck in this place where I couldn't move on because I've always wanted to know what I could do to do better as a partner or as a person. Because if I know what I can do to be better, I can improve on myself. However, I didn't know what I was supposed to do better. Um, so yeah, I started streaming. The second stream that I had was an Infinite Craft one, and that was an amazing stream. Um, I for my second stream and having 0 followers, I went from having actually no, I had like two because of the previous one, because of the previous one. However, no one was like tuning in. To have 0 viewers at the start and then I ended up having a total of 12 in the middle of it, that was kind of crazy. For my second stream. Um, I've only hit that once, and that was like not that long ago. Um, but yeah. Uh, but and recently I've had to stop streaming, not because of like it's damaging my mental health. It depends on what type of person you are to see how it damages your mental health. Like how you view streaming really does matter. Um, and I'll go into my past a little bit. Because I feel like that's a little bit important, a little bit of importance because I lived a little privileged childhood. Not like I was spoiled, rotten. I was just I had good parents. I don't know if they're watching this, but they did a good job. At least I think that they did. I still love them, and I hear about all the kids that spite their parents, whether it be just or unjust, and it makes me feel glad that I got rolled the good dice. Um, I have done various sports, and like I have gone from like running, taekwondo, karate, jujitsu, to even to like hula hooping, and that's always funny. It's a good party trick, but that's not really important. The important fact is the fact that I got a really good childhood. I was homeschooled for half of my education. Um, and like I was not good whenever I was homeschooled. It wasn't like I was doing poorly or not trying. It was just the fact that my mom was strict, and that strictness helped me. Because I was forced to be better at whatever I did. Um, and that's something that I am really trying to be better at, is to find something that I can be bad at, so I'm forced to do better. Like putting yourself in a situation where you lose is not always a bad position. Like, you know how there's the saying where it's like you would learn nothing if you won all the time. You'd also feel less deserved whenever you do accomplish something and it isn't uh, or it is deserved. Um, but I've had a bunch of self doubts. I'll get into that more later. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. It might be like just 15 minutes or even like an hour. Because whenever I start ranting, I tend to rant pretty a lot. Um, there's another the reason why I actually thought of starting stream was because I always liked the idea of involving your community, and like I would watch like Doug. I watch all of his videos at least like 2 or 3 times. They're hilarious. Um, but I I watched him and I watched other people, and it's not that I'm jealous. I think that having your own individual community away from like a group is very important, because it can be your community rather than someone else's. But what I want to do in the future is see how I can involve my chat. And one thing that I do know is the fact that with YouTube, there's not comment that I haven't responded to, whether it be just like the most simple comments. I still respond to them. I respond to them all. Um, and that's something that I want to continue doing. I know that that helps, not just with the algorithm, but it helps people feel like they're actually. I Whenever you not only respond to a comment, but also like it ensures that you're actually paying attention. And I want to make sure that all of you know that I am paying attention. How I view my influence on the social media is Outlook, and and this I feel like I view this healthily, is I won't look to see how many views a certain thing has. I'll look to see how many, well, each individual view is someone taking time out of their day to watch whatever I'm putting out there. The fact that in one video alone I have 1,200 views means that 1,000, approximately 1,000, because maybe some of you replayed it. I salute those who did. Like, seriously, that's freaking awesome. Like even though like that especially matters because it's not only just these certain people that are are like watching it and are like, okay, now to move on. But each view is someone taking out time out of their day on one video, and I know it's gonna raise because it's currently raising right now. Um, Wait, that's a different video than the one that I was thinking of. Okay. Well, it just clarifies my point is the fact that I don't care how many views something gets or how many likes. Each individual like or video or view or comment means so much because it means that someone took time out of their day to watch whatever I'm putting out. I'm just some guy playing a game. I'm just some guy that has confidence issues that uses this to sort of talk to people and put my whoever I'm doing out there. I'm just some dude. Like that's all it is, and that's all it's ever gonna be. Everyone online, there are some people that have like amazing talents. I think mine is Balatro shows it really well. Um, Mine is very much leaning into math. I might actually like just post this today because I feel like that would do better. Um, Balatro is mine because I am very math oriented. Currently, I'm thinking about switching my major to actuary science, and if you don't know, that requires like calculus, a bunch of calculus, and I do a bunch of math in my head. I've always been like ahead in that category, um, because I was homeschooled, because I was given the opportunity to grow. But I want it's kind of like me trying to show off, like, but I also want these talents to be seen, you know, like it and whenever there are some comments that like even the most simple ones, like one word comments that you see everywhere, those mean so much because think about it this way: it's not just someone writing a brain dead comment; it's someone opening, like watching the video, typing up their message, and then pressing send. It's not just like okay, cool. Whenever someone's texting you, because it's not directly to one person, it's to the world. And whenever one person is like, "Oh my gosh, this is cool," or whenever someone gives me feedback, "Oh my gosh, I love feedback." Give me your feedback because I need it. Like, how else am I supposed to learn? How else am I supposed to grow? I know it's like I currently have like 37 subscribers. I don't even care about the subscriber number. I mean, it's cool. It's like each one is like, holy crap, someone's actually like wanting to watch like consistently. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I don't care about the individual numbers is what I'm trying to say. All right, I don't care about the mass number, I guess. I do care about the individual numbers. Um, because I know it's one person. Currently, I have the most amazing number to me is 320 watch hours. I didn't even know it was that high. I thought it was like 200 something. But like, that's incredible. Like, I don't care if whether or not like I get money off of this or whatnot. The fact that people have 320 hours, that's more hours than I think that's eclipsed the amount of hours that I have put into this channel. There was one video that I put out there that really like I put hours upon hours into. I put I think 6 hours in. I was kind of disheartened at first. It was the no, it wasn't the getting over it. It was the end, yeah. It has 21 views at this point. It has zero point 0.1 watch hours. I spent 6 hours, sorry, 8 hours editing that. However, it didn't get seen, and one thing that I mentioned in the getting over it was the fact that I honestly don't care. The fact that I've learned that it's not a matter of trying to get the most views possible. It's a matter of trying to for those who want to watch it, they can watch it. And to know that people are actually enjoying it is another feeling altogether. Because I've said this like 5 billion times now. I'm just some guy. I'm just some dude that posts videos of him playing a game that he was gonna play like he was gonna play anyway. To see that people actually enjoy it, to see that people actually are giving feedback and spending time to like in effort, it makes me feel it makes me feel really good. Yeah, I know. In This is the difference between like healthy social media and unhealthy. I don't care about the likes. I mean, I don't care about the mass number of likes. I care about the individual likes that are given to me by an actual human being that actually likes it. And that's my goal is for even if one person is only watches my content for like a short amount of time, that means so much. And I guess I should probably move on. I've been on this subject for like 10 minutes now, but I'll go into more of who I am as a person. Um, I mentioned it slightly before about my past. But whenever I was young, like really, really young, 5 to 7, I was not necessarily bullied in I wasn't, I was the in-between bullied. I wasn't bullied on like physically bullied to the point of like beating up sort of deal, but I wasn't bullied to the ants nothing sort of deal. There was one semester where I had my glasses broken 6 times. Um, and there are several occasions where it wasn't just kids that caused my confidence to drop. Um, Constantly everything that I did was berated with people saying that like it wasn't good. Not teachers, but students, and then the teachers would just be like, and just ignore it. And so my confidence dropped, and that's something that I still struggle with. And each time I fail, it's a reminder that like it's not even a reminder. It pushes me down a lot. Um, However, that's whenever I was in third grade, my mom took me out of public school and started homeschooling me, and I that was probably the best thing that could have happened because then my dad started to run with me, and I started to do. There are three things that happened. Before I had done swimming lessons. That's the only sort of actual physical stuff that I did was swimming lessons. And that was like YMCA sort of deal. Um, then I started to run with my dad, and I started to do karate. Um, Running with my dad was it was very important to me, not for the confidence, but because it was a way that I could connect with him and sort of it was a way that like sort of built our relationship on. It was a cornerstone, and don't worry, he's still alive. It's just I'm happy that I can recognize the importance of what he did and what he is doing while he is alive, rather than just regretting what he did and not how I didn't respond in the past. I'm glad that I can recognize that he spends a lot of his time, even though I'm in college right now, helping me and trying to find ways to engage with me. It means a lot. But yeah, what I did with running was I eventually got to the point where I've always been a good runner. Always been a good runner. Um, I ran a 5K whenever I was 8. and I ran a Bellin whenever I was 9. And I eventually got to the point where I ran a sub 6 mile before age 10, and ran 12 miles, not a half marathon because I never participated in a half marathon. It was just a running with my dad, so that way he could run an entire marathon. Um, but yeah, and then I did karate at the same time. Karate was the confidence boost. Karate sort of helped me find people to sort of hang out with. Not hang out with like outside of karate because I still didn't really have that yet. Um, I had there it gave me a way of an outlet, not for anger or anything like that, because I've always been taught not to harbor anger, and up till that point I didn't experience stress. And one thing about the confidence loss, it wasn't that I thought I was. It's not that I was taught that I was worse than other people. It's just I accepted it as a fact, and that's not a fact. It's not. It's not true at all. It was, but anyway, sorry. Um, Taekwondo, or not Taekwondo, yeah, it was actual karate. Um, gave me a couple of friends, and if I had stayed, I broke boards, but if I had stayed there for a year longer, what would have been cool is I could have, next year I would have learned how to break cement blocks, which would have been freaking awesome. I might want to even like go back to Taekwondo, or no, not Taekwondo. Taekwondo was the most recent, so that's why I keep on bringing it up. But I want to go back to karate because that would be so cool. I can break cement blocks. You could break bricks. My friend that was my age at that point broke bricks and broke cement blocks the next year. I was so jealous. But I made it to second degree blue belt after 3 years. Um, there's hula hooping class, which that's basically like a party trick. I can now hula hoop 7 hula hoops for 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, for a minute. Like that's kind of impressive. That's the reason why I got such a good core. Um, yeah. However, one struggle that I had was whenever we moved. We moved from Wisconsin to Missouri. I'm not gonna tell you where in Missouri because we still live there. Um, but I fell out of running. I didn't have a group to do karate with. And everybody the relationships and friendships that I just had started, because I just started to make friends outside of taekwondo, outside of karate. Um, since we moved away like at not the worst time, but kind of not a good time. Um, and at this point, I was really good I was doing well at school. I was very good at school whenever I was in public school. It's just I never got to expand on those. I learned how to do powers by age 7, and I learned how to do multiplication and division by age 5. And they don't even teach that until like multiplication and division, like the simple variations, until like 8th grade. Um, but I always had this feeling that I needed to learn. Um, but we made it here, to Missouri, and I didn't. We found a group that I could do Shotokan with, which is a variation of karate. Um, it's a little bit more active, I would say, and that's where I ended up. Um, When I first started competing, because I wasn't there. But I uh I I I had a bad instructor. Um, he knew what he was doing for the most part. However, Um, for the 2 years that I did it, I went from I went to the second degree brown belt, to the second degree brown belt, which is actually no, third degree, which is the last belt before black belt. However, he refused to level me up because he knew that as soon as I would do that, I would leave because he was such a bad instructor. He had three jobs. He was in a very confusing relationship for me because his girlfriend. He had a girlfriend that was married and like all sorts of stuff that was strange. Um, and at age 12, he had me teaching full-blown adults how to do it because he was too busy working in other jobs. And I wasn't being paid. I was paying him to teach adults. Um but it was fun because I had to teach them. We eventually left because I realized that I wasn't gonna get any better, and that was very hard for me because I had to settle with the fact that I lost, that I didn't make it to black belt. Um, I did like a little bit of sports in the meantime. I did like a summer baseball, but then I did went to an ATA studio. There's a bunch of them around like Missouri, Illinois, all around. It's a taekwondo, and that's what I keep on bringing up because taekwondo, that's where I competed in, and that's where I started to. That's whenever I finally got my confidence back. Um, I started so immediately I there's this thing called combat sparring where it's basically fencing but a little bit less cordial, if you know what I mean. Like it's a little bit more brute force, but it, it's still like a very difficult sport. Because you're facing because the first person I faced was a black belt, and I was crazy at it. And my first, yeah, until I started competing, which was like a year and a half later. And I didn't start off with brown belt with three stripes. I started off with blue belt because they had to knock me down uh belts so that way it would be even. Um, but I only lost three times before I started competing. And it wasn't that I wasn't playing or playing people better than me. I constantly looked for the better people to go up against because I wanted to face those that would actually pose a challenge to me. And the first person that I did face was a black belt, and I beat him. And I don't know, I doubt he was going easy on me just based off of how, in what fashion I won, because he would back into a corner, and like this is sort of a pride moment for me. But next it was next thing was I did state, and I practiced day in and day out because the first tournament that I went to I lost, and that was a very humbling but also very fun experience for me because I have a very strange way of viewing loss, not loss, but losing. I view losing as not just a good thing or a necessary thing. I do sports, and I like to do different sports now, um, because I like to lose. I like to know that there's someone better than me. I like to know that there's always some area that I can improve in. And I want to be better. Like to I want to show the world that, or not just the world, but I guess it's myself mostly. I want to show myself that I don't have the talent. Show myself that even if I've had talent in pretty much everything. Taekwondo, I had the talent. I eventually ended up winning state by 3 times my second place's points in 3 different categories. Um, and ended up getting my black belt. And I always was a natural at running. I was a natural at uh, math. I was a natural at everything. But whenever I lost, it would be like, okay, I'm not a natural at this. All right, there's someone that's better than me, someone that's worked harder. Now I'm going to work harder. Now I'm going to do better. And the next sport I did was, it was unfortunately basketball, and I sucked at basketball. I was insane at defense, but the reason why I sucked at basketball is one, I never had anything like it. My eyes suck. I forget to mention this, but I also did like archery, while I did taekwondo, which was cool. But I wasn't insane at it, but it was fun, and I was good at it. But I couldn't shoot a shot for my life. I made like a couple shots in my first year, but I was never put in. I think there are games where I would be like, all right, coach, I'm going to these games. Drive. My parents are driving me 2 hours there and then back. I better be put in for like I saw like I didn't say I better be, but I was like, can you put me in for at least like a quarter or something? Because we didn't have a huge group. It wasn't like it was for state or anything. And you would put me in for 3 minutes on that game, and that would be the most I would play, and it would be fun for me because I would be able to compete. It was something that I sucked at, and I got to be good at it, or I got to train to be good at, but I never got the light of day. And it's not like sort of a sob story like boo hoo, woe is me. It's a sort of deal where that did wreck my confidence because despite the fact that I worked as hard as I could. I couldn't, wasn't given the opportunity to show that I was getting better. Next time that I did basketball, I was given the opportunity to. I just couldn't. I wasn't good at it. I was good at defense though. There were times where my coach would put in because I would be something that like I knew I wasn't good on offense, so I worked on passing and I worked on defense. And so I didn't make a single shot the entire season until the last game, one of the last games. And I nailed a three from the college line, and I was on junior varsity. There are times where my coach would put me in, and he knew that I was not going to score. His entire point of putting me in was one to show that he was giving me an opportunity, and the second one was because he knew that no matter what, I wouldn't give up. In the final championship week, I had a sore throat. I had some very I was very sick. Not like sick as in like I was exhausted. Like I had a sore throat. There were times where I'd wake up unable to breathe. Um, I had a sniffly nose. I couldn't really hear. I was completely congested, and my entire body was shutting down. However, that was like early on, and there was only one game that I missed. And but for the other games, I pushed. I pushed and I pushed, and I would cheer even though my voice wouldn't let me. I would, and that's one thing that I give myself credit for is that no matter what, I was the guy that was screaming from the sidelines. Um, I I pushed myself. One might argue that I pushed myself too far, but I argue that I'm still here today. So I obviously am not. It did not. I I I played defense so well that he would put me in for the sole purpose of targeting the best shooter on their team or their best player on their team, and they would run four-man drills with the rest of the team. And that's one pride thing that one thing that I'm proudful about, because that's awesome. That I was like I had my thing, that even if it was something that I sucked at, I was going to get good at. But and then I ended up doing a little bit of jujitsu, and that was fun. But after that, um, I started working. First job I had, I I did my best. I worked it like it was something that I was passionate about. I worked at a coffee shop. There, I would constantly work at the window, do whatever I could. I would do three people's jobs at once, like even though the people were there, just because I wanted to show that I was there, that I was gonna work. There were people from, I remember that there's a one customer in particular, and there were several other customers that were from the psych ward that worked in a mental hospital. Um, and they would come in and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you made my day." And I ended up losing thousands of dollars in tips because they didn't, because the boss I had was greedy and lied about how I was out of training, how where I needed to work. Whenever I did work in the position, and once I did get out of training, he lied that I wasn't actually out of training. And I knew that it wasn't going to be something that I could push legally because it wouldn't be worth the effort. However, it just sucked. The next job I had, I wasn't trained in. I was just thrown in there. I was, I had to do like, I had to work three fryers at once first day, and I had to make 300, so it would be 900 batches of chips in a day. And that's no joke. Like, 900 batches, so 900 batches of three. So I guess that would be, it'd be more like 2,700. And I didn't mind. It was something that I was working for money. I wanted to make sure that I was earning it. I don't care what I have to do. I just have to earn it. However, I was fired because I wasn't trained well. I wasn't told that the dishes had a drain issue. And so I struggled with that and they fired me, which I don't hold against them. It was frustrating. Um, and I had a good job after that, but then I had Chipotle. I was also thrown in there with no training. Um, they were very understaffed. There was one night where I worked and there were three people on a 10-man shift, and sorry, on a 12-man, what's supposed to be a 12-man job. I worked online and all of uh, normal orders, while people worked in the back and people worked on chopping, and it was in the middle of the busiest time of the year. And I worked a 7-man job whenever I wasn't trained in one. And that's something that I hold myself to. Again, it's like I have these prideful moments where I have amazing accomplishments that I'm able to do this. And eventually it went south because there were some bad coworkers and I had to quit. Um, but this is where we get to whenever I moved to college. I was in a relationship that I believed would go the distance. Um, I did my best in it. Like I constantly was communicating. I constantly worked to have like these sort of special events to set up. However, whenever I went to college, it was evident. Well, I wasn't evident to me at the time, but it was not a good relationship because I was being manipulated and I didn't even know it. I was told you shouldn't even be near another girl. Um, I was sort of isolated and put away. And eventually that tore at me, and there were some things that I had been coerced into doing that I regretted, and we put the relationship on hold. Um, and then we ended up breaking up. And then later I ended up writing an apology letter. It was a very extensive one. I worked really hard on it because it was the first relationship at the time that I felt like I actually did something wrong. I was wishy-washy with what I wanted. And so I wrote a 50-page apology letter, which I know is it's extensive. You might even say it's like a simp, whatever. I don't care. I felt like it was necessary because I messed up and I wanted to make sure that I knew that the world knew and that I knew that I was going to do better. We got back together and things went back to the way they were. Fortunately, during that time where we were away from each other, I ended up doing flag football. It was an intramural, and the team that I got put on was all rugby players. Like the entire rugby team, and it's a D1 school. I'm not gonna tell you where. You probably could figure it out based off of shirts I wore. Um, but entire D1 rugby team, and I was the only non-rugby player, and that was amazing because they had such a high energy level. It was getting me involved, and I loved it. I'm still friends with them to this day. Um, I know it's only been like a couple months since. Um, However, things are going rough. There are times where I was being yelled at, and times where I was being that I just endure. And my issues weren't ever like addressed because I just put them aside because I put my partner first, and I feel like that's how things should go. But a lot of times, because people don't put their partner first, the other one, their partner is now forced to have to care about themselves more. I was constantly accused of uh, not caring about her, despite the fact that I had devoted half of my day to the relationship. I would, and eventually it got to the point where she would be like, "You better come on, give me a promise ring. You like engage, give me an engagement ring." I was constantly pressured into that, and I was planning on it. We picked out the ring. Um, no, I picked out the ring. I let her know that I was just needing to get the money for it. And at the time, she was going through some rough work. She had some workplace harassment. I don't even know if this is true because there are several times where she would expand matters. I didn't know this until recently, but she spread a lot of rumors about me in my old friend groups, which is why my uh, ex best friend ended up trying to kill me. Um, but yeah, so 3 days leading up to the breakup, I had worked on a forum for lawyers and stuff like that. And there were tons of plans I had. And I could go into extensive detail about it, but really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Um, Person that she cheated on me with and ended up wanting to date, he never ended up liking her back, which was very bittersweet for her. Not bittersweet, but just bitter for her. And I still cared about her because I had been in a relationship with her for 2 years, and I still did care about her because to me it was just like all out of the blue, and I couldn't believe that it was the same person. I couldn't believe that it was the same person that because whenever we were face to face, it was never that big. There's no issues. Usually it's behind the screen that you find yourself uh, with no knowledge. It's easy to hide behind a screen, not in real life. Um, but she led me to her father's house and it was like, "Hey, we need to talk there." And that's where her father and my ex-best friend tried to jump me. Fortunately, I kind of saw it coming because of how she talked. And so I had taken a couple steps back and I was able to get out of there. And yeah, I ended up having to block their number, your dad's number, because he would laugh at me and make fun of the fact that I still cared about her despite the fact that she didn't care about me. And I kind of got away from that. I managed to get away and get out of my head. I still have issues with that. I still go to therapy because it's a traumatic event to have your best friend try to kill you and have the person that you thought you're gonna marry lead it. But that's why I started streaming, and I still struggle with this. I still struggle with myself, whether or not I'm actually, and it's not an imposter syndrome or like inferiority complex, but I do feel like I I can't move on, and I'm doing my best to, because it's only because it takes time, you know. And so time is a weird thing. You can time takes longer the more you feel. So that's why whenever you're a kid and you're put in time out feels like forever because you're noticing everything. And I struggle with this, and it feels like it's taking forever for time to move on. But I've also realized that it's also an important thing to try to slow down your perception of time. Like, notice everything that is going around you, so that way, whenever your time comes or whenever you're older, you can remember that, hey, I did value. Even the times that I struggled in, I still did value. But that's why I started streaming. And one thing that I've sort of settled with is there are times where I didn't think about ending myself. I didn't think about it. However, I mean, I guess I did think about it, but I also knew that I wasn't gonna do it. There's no way, there's not ever going to be a universe where I would do that. Because at the end of the day, I know that despite the fact that I've had a life full of tons of accomplishments, winning state, doing all sorts of various sports, getting good grades, showing like, yeah, I have improved a couple of people's lives. However, I also know that I'm not done yet. There's not I'm not. I refuse to just give up because not just because of one bad experience, because I've had way more than one. I refuse to give up because all of the effort that I have used, all of the effort that has already been put into my life by me and by others, it would go to waste. And I know that I'm not done yet. There are more things that I can do. There's more areas where I can help in other people's lives. There's more. I'm just not done. I'm never gonna be done. Whenever I die, that's gonna be whenever I'm done. But it's not gonna be by my own hand. I'm going to still fight. I'm still going to keep pushing until that time comes. And I just want everyone to know, and really, this is a statement for myself. I'm not done yet, and I never will be. And you can take that from me. You can take that any way you want. It might mean that like I'm not done with my life, but I feel like it's just I'm not done giving effort. I'm not done with everything. I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better. And if in as a Christian, I believe that there's a God, and like, yeah, I believe that if God deems it, and and I end up dying tomorrow, so be it. But as it stands, I'm not gonna be done anytime soon. And if you watch to the end of this, I have no words for how happy I am, because I this is a gonna be a long video. I thought it was gonna be like 10-20 minutes at the start, and it turned into, like, right now it's 50 minutes of recording. uh, but I'm not done. And with streaming, I don't know how long or with video making, I don't know how long I'm gonna do it. Hopefully, it's gonna be for a long time. But I've gotta make sure that if I'm going to act like I've done everything that I could in everything that I've done, I've gotta make sure the sleeves fit. Gotta make sure I guess the saying goes, I gotta make sure the suit fits. And I have my own sort of deal with that. Is if you're gonna try and make the suit fit, you better not fill it with cotton. You better not fill it with lies. You better not say hollow words. And I've got to prove that I'm not done yet. I've got to make sure that it's me filling those sleeves rather than just some fluff. I'm sorry that this is a sort of a serious video. More fun content is on the way. I've got like a few videos lined up already for the next couple of days if I need to, because I've got a bunch of school coming up. College just goes in waves. But yeah, I'm not done yet. I don't ever plan on it, on giving up. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.